X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly podcast where we rank every story from A to Z. It's about X-Men, I'm sorry. It's an X-Men podcast where we rank every X-Men story from A to Z.
I'm Adam, and
I'm Zach.
Did you not say the X-Men part?
I didn't.
No shame in that game.
What people don't know is that it's actually been a spell since we've recorded. And we're getting back into the swing of it. I want to thank everyone for following my explicit instructions and not coming to my booth and shaking hands and saying hi to me at AHR Expo. Really happy about that. Glad everyone followed instructions. And I know everyone was there. All of you really follow the air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration world very closely.
You keep this up, people are going to find you at these things, and
you're
going to be like, "No, please
won't.
go away." But we are not here to talk about ductwork and fans or any of the wonderful worlds of HVAC. But we are going to talk about everybody's favorite member of the X-Men, Galactus.
You're talking about Gallon of Ta, right?
Gallon of Ta, the giant...
The last survivor of the Sixth Cosmos?
I'm just learning about this, but yes.
Yeah, I got to explain the Sixth Cosmos to Adam. If you guys don't know about the Sixth Cosmos, well then you're two cosmos behind where you need to be, because we're on the Eighth Cosmos right now.
I had no idea that before Secret Wars was the Seventh, and now we're in the Eighth. That's exciting.
Okay, so I've given you all of that. I'm going to give you one more thing, Adam.
Ooh.
People, we've been talking about the many Marvel Cosmos, and if you are not familiar with them, please go read Al Ewing's Ultimates and Ultimates 2, or Ultimates Squared, if you would, and then go read his Defenders that rules. It'll be relevant, I promise. Galactus is a character in Ultimates and Ultimates 2, and a Galactus relative who we'll talk about. His hot mom, Taya of Ta, she's in Defenders. She's the main character.
Right.
No, okay, so 8. So 8, the Eighth Cosmos.
Yes.
The Eighth Cosmos came because, or at least we figured out it was the Eighth Cosmos, because they found a very specific isotope in the Eighth Cosmos called ISO 8, which, if you indulge in properties outside of Marvel comic books, you will know is the pay-to-win currency of all Marvel mobile games. So Al Ewing...
Just genius.
Concurrent with writing the Contest of Champions mobile game tie-in, which also rules. That does rule in ways that I can't explain. Al Ewing did say, okay, so I'm going to take this absolutely ridiculous currency from a mobile game and make it the fundamental building block of the Marvel Universe, right?
Only Al Ewing. Only Al Ewing. None of the stories we're talking about on today's episode were written by Al Ewing. But
not even a little bit.
Who was it that requested that we talk about Galactus of all characters?
Well, the person who asked us to talk about the Devourer of Worlds, the Lifebringer, it's Jerry Laley. Jerry went on over to patreon.com/comicsxf and said, folks, I want you to talk about this very important X-Men character, Galactus. He's a large purple man, and Jack Kirby created him because, apocryphally, Stan Lee said, let's have him fight God. And then Jack Kirby said, okay.
Here's a guy with a big purple hat.
It's always interesting to see what Jack Kirby thinks of God and religion. It's also, we're recording this before Super Bowl Sunday. It'll come out actually after Super Bowl Sunday, so I do hope that Ohio did itself proud and the Cincinnati Bengals are Super Bowl champions. If not, I won't be that upset. I'm just from Ohio. I'm not a Bengals fan per se, but I've got a lot of friends and family who are, so I'm rooting for them.
I'm rooting for the Bengals as well. If I can't have my Ravens in there, then might as well have.
Oh my gosh, you're a Ravens fan? Hold on, you're a Ravens fan and you're saying, yeah, the Bengals can win. That seems weird.
It is, but it's not. I mean, you got to root for the Bengals. They haven't won in so long. I mean,
I'm not saying that people should root for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm just saying that I don't think fans of other AFC North teams should root for the Bengals under any circumstance.
I understand that, and there's probably people just like yelling at me, but I'm not like super into football anyway.
You're from New Jersey! Don't you have 2 New York teams that play there?
Yeah, but I went to college in Baltimore when they started the Baltimore Ravens, and I was there when they won their first Super Bowl too, so I have allegiance.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. The Baltimore Ravens didn't have any allegiance when they up and moved from Cleveland, so that's fine.
Speaking of teams that move from place to place, our first story... That was a great...
I'm so happy with that segue, Adam.
That's a great segue. We're going to talk about Exiles by... everybody's favorite Real World cast member, Judd Winnick and Mike McCone. What story is this, Zach?
This is Exiles 8 through 10. It's called A World Apart. Like you said, Judd Winnick, Mike McCone. This is the more or less the original Exiles team. You got Blink, you got Nocturne, you got Mimic, you got Morph, you got Thunderbird, the Herald of Apocalypse or whatever, and then you also have Sunfire.
Mm-hmm. This is the Mariko Yoshida version of Sunfire. And we've spent our first couple pages here recapping some really fun, different adventures that are not depicted as full-length stories. So we get like Caveman Exiles, Secret Service Exiles. There's one with Antelope Men, which is a little disturbing.
Everyone knows that standard trope of Antelope Men.
I guess. But this arc is all about landing on a planet where the Skrulls invaded basically before the Industrial Revolution. So we have this alternate present, and unfortunately superheroes are not well regarded. The Skrulls obviously don't want superheroes to fight them. So what they do is they set up gladiatorial combat for them to kick each other's butts. And most of the Exiles
given
are
our
stuck
past
in this.
experience with the Skrull Empire,
yes.
Does this surprise you?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact,
Whatever happened to those Skrull versions of us that we locked in a closet and said we weren't allowed to do this bit again?
The ones where we used the voice filter and got a nasty
No,
iTunes
the ones
review?
where that's what Skrulls sound like and there was no editing involved.
I don't remember. I think
the ones that got some of the worst and most deserved bad iTunes reviews we've ever gotten. Sometimes bits get away from us, folks. We're sorry.
Yeah, no voice filters on this episode. This is a pretty dang smart plan from the Skrulls. Of course, while the Skrulls are here, it's great, but then Galactus shows up and the Skrulls abandon this Earth, and it's up to the remaining superheroes who, are in various different kinds of recognizability, and the Exiles to basically fist fight Terex and Galactus to death.
That's 3 issues of a comic book right there. So here's my biggest problem. A lot of people like the Exiles. I'm not as hot on the Exiles. In fact, I would say the best version of the Exiles are the Exiles from the unauthorized podcast Exiled, run by friend of the show Luke Air. Which is great. Go check it out. It's all complete. They just did a Christmas special. Go listen to Exiled. It's some of my favorite podcast stuff. But this is led by the worst. This arc is led by the worst member of the Exiles, and that is Mimic, who is he's just like a piece of white bread.
He's the gladiator you're supposed to root for, like Russell Crowe style, and it doesn't really work.
the thing about Russell Crowe in the movie Gladiator is that Russell Crowe had charisma and likability, and wasn't this dude.
Well, this mimic just basically like tells the Skrulls to go screw and kills Captain America.
This mimic sucks.
He's been hiding the fact that he has Cyclops eye blasts and reveals it only to, break Captain America into a wall and to his death. So yeah, I mean, if that's your like hero moment, it's not a high point of the story.
It's not. There's not really a high point to this. It's a bad comic. And here's the thing. Exiles bores me because I don't feel the stakes of anything they're doing. There's, I guess personal development with these characters and their individual character growth. But I don't like most of these characters, so I'm not that invested in it.
It's tough because all these characters are kind of just sad and mopey, and really not happy with their circumstances, which is completely understandable. So where the fun that's to be had in this story is that it's an alternate universe story. And then the question is, well, how did these characters get to be them if they're not? Like early on in this 3-issue arc, you see the Thing and you're like, wait, well, how did he become the Thing if the Fantastic Four never got into space? And they do Winnick does a clever thing where it turns out that like they stole one of the Skrulls' ships and tried to escape and find help. And that's how they got it.
But if you have an inflection point, in that inflection point in an alternate reality, time travel, whatever type of story, is that the Skrulls invaded before the Industrial Revolution, well then I don't particularly buy that 200 or 150 some years later, all of the people are kind of the same. And
that's
the
why
wild
it's wonky.
Circumstances in their life have all been the same. No, you start from that inflection point and you build out from there. That's how you write this in a logically cohesive way.
Well, and to that point, and what I was saying is that if that's where the fun is, there's not a lot of it because, just like you were saying, Zach, the differences and the explanations for how these characters got to their current point, at least in this arc, not that exciting, not that fun, Not least of which is that how they beat Terex and Galactus is basically like a fist fight, and
Galactus famously weak to being punched.
Though
you would think people would stop doing that, but freaking Fantastic Four life story from this year also had Galactus beat by getting punched, and that was bad too. Mark Russell should know better.
Yeah. So, we've got Reed Richards here, we've got Mole Man here, Mike McCone is doing a pretty good job with the art.
Not the covers.
The covers are kind of not great. They're all like no line work and all digital fills, and it's not great. So
it looks
this
like a bad version of it looks like a bad version of. It looks like a bad version of the original Ultimate Comics designs. Yeah.
Well, and that's the page layout of the cover. So they're definitely trying to get into that market.
It was hot, I get it.
When we get to the end of this arc, Thunderbird has sacrificed himself to blow up Galactus, and immediately and like you said, low stakes. He's mourned for about 30 seconds before an alternate universe version of who is it?
It's Sasquatch, but it's Sasquatch. Hudson.
Yes, shows up, and then they go off on their next adventure. So, the traumas keep on piling on for this team, but this story, not that exciting. Maybe we should rank this on our big old list.
Yeah, because here's the thing about this podcast. Here's the bit, is that we have a big list. We're past, actually, no, we are on the road to 600. Actually, no, we're not. We're on the road to 700 now, but 700 is going to be a while away. We just passed mile marker 600, is really where we're at on this road. And we're ranking all of the X-Men stories from best to worst, like the best X-Men story, House of X Powers of 10, or the 100th best X-Men story, Everything is Sinister from Uncanny X-Men, from Uncanny X-Men #1. You know it. The 200th is that Gold Balls issue from Uncanny X-Men, the Bendis run. The 300th best X-Men story of all time is Nation X from Uncanny X-Men. The 400th best X-Men story of all time is the New Mutants Summer Special from 1990, which, frankly, we've said it before and we'll say it again. Probably we messed up when we ranked that one. It was my fault. I'll take the full blame on that. There's a lot of things on this list that 5 years in, I think we could have done better. But neither here nor now there. The 500th story on the list is Gen 13 Gen X, the one that has Art Adams art. And then the Draco is our number 600. Adam, how do you feel about this comic book here?
I think we're definitely in the 400s here. Because this just, I don't know, man. This is not...
It's just boring, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I wish it was doing so much more. And it is a little bit of a letdown here. So,
well, here's where I'm looking. At 473 is Exiles number 100. And I think this is better than that.
I would agree. I believe that is the Chris Claremont.
Yeah, it's the end of
Torch.
Exiles, entry into the new Exiles.
Yeah, but it's... I don't think it's that much higher here. I mean, I'm looking around.
Okay.
A couple slots up from there is Exiled. Is this better than Exiled?
No, I like Exiled more. I know you don't love Exiled. I have a soft spot for Exiled.
That's fine. So we know it's in between there. There's not a lot of other stuff here.
There is. Here's where I'm thinking. We got a spot right here that's X-Men 1 through 4, the Age of Apocalypse stuff, which I think is better.
I like that better. Yeah.
I think this is probably better than X-Men: The Search for Cyclops, a book that's incredibly boring, even though when you think about it, you're like, oh, this could be good, and then it's just a slog to read.
It's just not. I think that's a good spot for it.
So let's make this our new 471.
That sounds great. All right. So Exiles: A World Apart.
Okay, Judd, do better next time. I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Not the best arc of the story, but lest we think that's the only encounter the X characters have had with Galactus, we're going to go on to something a little more recent now, right?
Yeah, we're gonna transition into one of the vestiges of the Seventh Cosmos. It died at the same time as the rest of the Seventh Cosmos, when the Secret Wars happened, when all the incursions and it blew up the world. We're talking about the Ultimate Comics, and specifically, Adam. We're gonna jump back for a second here.
Okay.
You know, like 1994.
I do. I remember that.
Do you remember when Todd McFarlane was like, "Hey, if I'm going to hire someone to write the things I draw, I might as well hire all of the best people." And then he got, like, Neil Gaiman to write Spawn.
Yeah. And then tossed it off to Alan Moore and Greg Capullo. Like,
yeah,
not
and then
bad.
the thing is that the Image people at the time were very progressive about creators' rights and treating people equally, except for they weren't. They were really good about treating themselves equally. Imagine Neil Gaiman and the Image people ever getting into some sort of kerfuffle about the rights of these characters that were supposed to be owned by their creators, whom Neil Gaiman was one of.
That doesn't sound like a recipe for a court case or anything, does it?
It really doesn't sound like it would tie into the rights for Marvel Man or Miracle Man, which ties back to Shazam, which ties back to so many things, really. But long story short, when Brian Michael Bendis did The Age of Ultron,
yes,
he had two big things happen at the end of that very bad comic that technically, like, Wolverine's the main character of that, so we might, if someone told us to, we would have to rank Age of Ultron.
Which is basically just another House of M. You know what I mean?
Like, it's like 4 houses of M.
It's pretty much
like neighborhood of M.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point when I think everyone kind of realized, oh, Brian's running out of ideas. Brian may have
running on empty.
Brian may have done everything he wanted to do at the Marvel facility. No, he did 2 big things. One, he took Neil Gaiman's Todd McFarlane's Angela from Spawn and brought her into the Marvel universe.
Right.
Because time broke.
Yes, that's the important thing.
But also, he sent Gallon of Taa, Galactus, into the Ultimate Universe, and there was quite a cataclysm there. And that's where we come in with Cataclysm Ultimate X-Men. It is written by Joshua Hale Falkov, and Vero Martinez Bueno is doing those pencils. Which, by the way, if you haven't read Avero's Nice House on the Lake with James Tinney IV, it's a comic that rules. It's a comic that dares to ask, what if your friend had a nice house on the lake?
But it's also a horror book, right?
Oh, it's absolutely a horror book. Yes, but I cannot emphasize enough that the book is about what if your friend had a nice house on the lake and you and all your friends went there.
So Cataclysm is basically Galactus comes to the Ultimate Universe Earth. But this X-Men mini is also coming on the tail of the World War X storyline, which we have talked about. World War X. Yeah. So new Tion, or Tion? Is it Tion or new Tion?
I think this one's regular Tion.
This is just regular Tion. I'm just checking because new Tion was part of...
New Tion is California when the X-Men taken over because they were Nazi collaborators.
Yeah.
Bad time for everyone involved.
Yeah. Still not sure why that was new Tion if Tion was
because there was universe. A Tion in the Astonishing X-Men run that Warren Ellis and Simone Bianchi did, I believe.
Okay.
Ghost Boxes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Also a bad story, actually.
So this is the Hickman Tion from Ultimate Hawkeye that then went into World War X.
Ultimate Comics Hawkeye, excuse you.
Yes, thank you. And it's now floating in the ocean. It has fallen from the sky. And the Ultimate X-Men, who consist of our good pal Jimmy Hudson.
You're talking about the new Venom, the Poison?
Yes. No, wait a minute. Is Poison on the new Savage Avengers?
No. You're thinking of Agent Anti-Venom.
Oh, that's the Anti-Venom. Okay. But
well, Poison... that's what had happened is you remember Peter Parker's high school bully / Spider-Man's biggest fan, Flash Thompson?
Oh, it's Flash.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know how Flash Thompson went to Vietnam and lost his legs?
I don't. What?
Yeah, Flash Thompson went to Vietnam. That's like classic Spider-Man.
Oh.
He got a war injury.
How did he get his legs back?
Through an experimental government program that bonded him with the Venom symbiote to make him Agent Venom. But then he was Venom, Agent Venom, the Guardian of the Galaxy. And then he was Venom Space Knight. And then a bunch of Venom stuff happened that I didn't really read. And like 2 other people had Venom. And at the time, I think Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, was Venom. You know how Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, was Venom for a hot second and pretended to be Spider-Man on the Dark Adventures?
I actually don't. That's wild.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about, man. Guys, if you haven't noticed, Galactus isn't really an X-Men character, so we're just talking about the wildest Marvel stuff. No, so Matt Gargan was Venom. And I believe at the time, Eddie Brock became Anti-Venom, which was the opposite Venom.
Right.
It was an anti-symbiote thing.
But now they've swapped.
Well, what had happened is before Flash Thompson died in the end of Dan Slott's time on Carnage, or on Spider-Man, the storyline where the Green Goblin becomes the Red Goblin because he got the Carnage symbiote?
Yes.
Okay, that one you know?
No, just vaguely. I don't know any of this. I didn't read any of Dan Slott's Spider-Man. What do you think I'm...
Honestly, okay, here's the thing. Dan Slott's Spider-Man goes on for too long. There's worthwhile stuff to read in Dan Slott's
Okay.
Spider-Man. And I don't say that about a lot of Dan Slott comics.
I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that every time I've seen Flash Thompson, he's had legs. I don't understand.
Yeah, because of the Venom symbiote.
This is wild. But Jimmy has been lost in the wind.
Anyway, hold on. We're not done. We have to finish this so people know what we're talking about. Then Flash Thompson became Agent Anti-Venom there. And then he died, and then he came back, and now he's Agent Anti-Venom, which is just Agent Venom, but in a color-swapped suit, so it's white and black instead of black and white. He's on the new Savage Avengers by David Pepos that has just a weird cast. That's a weird book.
Very strange cast.
Weapon H is in it.
Yep.
Weapon H, very much an X-Men character and someone we should absolutely talk about sometime.
If we have
That's the Hulkverine.
Yes.
Man, they had a series called Hulkverines, didn't they?
Yep.
That wasn't just a joke.
You did not imagine that happened. That was real.
Guys, Marvel's a weird company.
All I was trying to say was Jimmy Hudson, the Venom, is like still just somewhere in the 616 in the 8th cosmos.
Because Jimmy Hudson from the 7th Cosmos ended up in the 8th Cosmos after Secret Wars, and then bonded with a Poison, which I think is like a more evil version of Venom's. I'm not clear. It was from Venom.
He was Venomized.
It was originally from Venomverse and then Venomized. Well, then Poison X and then Venomized.
Too many Venom crossovers. Too much Venom.
There's so much Venom in this comic book where Venom doesn't actually appear that we're talking about. Jimmy Hudson's just Wolverine 2, Electric Boogaloo in this one.
All right, so Jimmy, Rogue, Iceman, Blackheath, Mach
Blackheath, you know Sam Smithers, the Plant Man?
Yes, and
a dude
Storm.
who I wrote a pitch for at one point. Not that I want to be a writer, I just had the idea of what if Plant Man was cool? I like plants. I got 2 plants today. They're great.
Ooh, we're getting actual plants, not just reading books about plants.
I got these 2 new ferns.
You're like they're your pets now.
They are. I also have pets, but look, I got.
Oh, that's a nice one.
There.
Yeah,
it's a nice big one, and then I got another plant.
They're gonna get enough sunshine there, buddy.
Yeah, I got this window right here.
Perfect. That's
They're
great.
indoor plants. They're ferns. They are fine. They can live with just like good vibes mostly.
Okay. Yes. So, this version of the X-Men is trying to find any survivors on Newtion. They catch a glimpse of Galactus just in time to run into another group of mutants. Silence, Strong Guy, Amp. I believe Pixie is here. She's important to this story. And a really fun version of Beak, who kind of looks like a multi-technicolor dodo. He looks great.
Yeah, Beak's great. We all know how much I love Beak. Beak's a good character, actually.
So you might expect that this combined team of mutants is going to fight Galactus. You would be wrong.
What they fight is the Galactus Swarm. That's the Galactus of the Ultimate Universe, which was nanomachines, because at a certain point in the mid-2000s, we decided that fun wasn't allowed.
These are like Matrix Sentinel looking creatures. They basically get stuck in a cave with Rick Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's the Ultimate Captain Marvel.
Who's toting around a cable gun. And then they basically have to fight off the swarm. And unfortunately, to get out of the situation at the end of it, Rogue has to absorb Pixie's powers right before she dies. So
that's pretty traumatic for Rogue, who's decided that no one's going to die after World War X.
She's pretty big on stressing this, that no one is going to die, and yet they do. Weirdly, during this very short story, Rogue kind of like falls for the Rick Jones character and they kiss at some point. Seems like a bit of a stretch given the time period that they're together.
And given how fast these comics read, like this is a 3-issue miniseries,
yes.
But it reads like very snappy.
Very snappy. That being said, love the art. I think the art looks really great here.
Yeah.
but not a lot. Not a lot of stuff is happening here. Jordi Belaire's colors are fantastic, but it's just okay. You know, it seems like a tie-in for purposes of a larger event, and nothing really happens here of import.
It's the last Ultimate X-Men comic, which is... It's weird because, like, I have all of Ultimate X-Men. I have to trade paperbacks, as one should. Not because I like it, but because we need to remember what was the most popular X-Men for a while.
It is absolutely wild if you look at where Ultimate X-Men starts and where it ends. That is just a bonkers thing to think about.
What people, like, here's the thing. People know Ultimate Spider-Man was, like, the thing.
Right.
People talk about Grant Morrison's New X-Men, which was running concurrently with Ultimate X-Men. Mm-hmm. What they don't talk about is that how Ultimate X-Men was killing New X-Men in sales.
Yeah, it was extremely popular.
That was the X-Men book.
Sure. All the Ultimate stuff was pretty hot when it came out. So by the time we got around to... but by the time we get to this, nobody's paying attention to the Ultimate Universe. It's in its death throes, and despite looking nice, not a lot happening here story-wise. We should rank this, huh?
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking, Adam. I like this better than the Exile story.
I do too.
I don't like it better than an oddly similar story, number 428 on our list. That time Galactus decided to have a new herald, and his herald was Dazzler.
That is definitely a similar story and quality, but a little more fun just for the actual fact that Galactus is in it and that Dazzler is the herald. So I do think we're in the right spot. We're definitely in the 400s to maybe the 450s. Like at 450, we have what if Cable killed X-Men and Magneto took over the US? I think this
is better than that.
This is better than that, yeah.
This is better than that. This is better than Curse of the Mutants. I think this is better than Wolverine and Jubilee, but probably not as good as Firestar 1 through 4.
I would agree. I mean, I love those characters, but Wolverine and Jubilee is not that great. That's probably very similar in quality to this, and also not a lot happens. Whereas I have a fondness for the Firestar miniseries, even though not a lot happens in that either. So this is going to be, what, our new 438?
This will be our new 438, Cataclysm, Ultimate X-Men.
All right, so we are going to stay in the 7th Cosmos for this last one.
Nope, Adam, this one's in the 8th.
Is it? Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It is, because this is during the... X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold era.
But this is during the last issue of Secret Empire is where this is during.
That's absolutely weird.
Incredibly not.
Yeah. So there were a series of one-shots that were put out, and these are called Generations. And in these stories, we had legacy characters meeting their current counterparts. So you'd have like Kate Bishop going back in time and meeting with Clint in a flashback.
Very historically, Kate Bishop and Clint Barton don't really have a lot of interaction, so this was a very special time.
Well, it wasn't the present day Clint; it was past Clint.
It was the Clint everyone hates.
Right.
Sorry, the two Clint Barton fans from like the 80s or whatever who really love West Coast Avengers. You picked up a bad book from the supermarket when you were 8 and you've never let it go. I don't know what to tell you.
Laura Kinney went back and hung out with Wolverine of yore, and Jean Grey got a chance to meet her pre-Dark Phoenix saga, but still the Phoenix counterpart. Did you get that right?
This is the time when the X-Men had died, or she had thought they died in Antarctica and said they were screwed around in the Savage Land for like a year.
Yeah.
So Jean Grey goes to like the beaches of Greece and just like vibes.
Yeah.
She gets turned into a mermaid at one point. Have we ranked the Bizarre Adventure stories?
Never talked about the mermaid story now.
Man, y'all, Bizarre Adventures 27. We've got to talk about that on the show sometime.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever ranked that one. That's good.
We've not ranked that one. We've not ranked the Nightcrawler story. We've not ranked
the Iceman story.
the bizarre
Yeah.
Iceman story.
We didn't talk about that, but that was reprinted in Uncanny 600, but we didn't talk about it.
Wild choices that they made. They could have just like trimmed $2 off of that book.
But Generations, Jean Grey, aka The Vanishing Point, is that what this story is called? I don't know. Written by Cullen Bunn and penciled by R.B. Silva, inked by Adriano De Benedetto and R.B. Silva. And this is fun. I like this.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple things here. One, let's talk about R.B. Silva.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love R.B. Silva so much.
Yeah, it's a dang shame he's stuck on freaking Fantastic Four. I hate it.
No. He's done with Fantastic Four now. R.B. Silva is now doing, or is going to be doing the new Captain America book, I believe.
Not cool. I don't like it. Bring him back to Krakoa.
Listen. The current X-Men line kind of has a lot of the best artists at Marvel.
I know. Just keep them coming.
They can only put... Okay, who don't they... I guess actually both of the Captain America artists are Carmen Carnero and R.B. Silva, who the X-Line had to give up.
We're just giving away everybody, huh? This is R.B. Silva on the tail end of an arc in X-Men Gold that involved Gambit. And I think around that time, we were kind of looking at RB's stuff and going, okay, we're emulating some Immonen here. I get it.
But it was like moving in the right direction.
Yes.
I think this is the issue where I understood him as more than just like in the school of Stuart Immonen.
Right.
And I saw, he can like elevate himself.
Absolutely.
And I think it really did take until Powers of X for him to like explode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of that, honestly, was him getting more comfortable with his style of line work. I don't know how much of that was inking, and I don't know how much of that was changing the ways that he was colored. But now Silva freaking, like, rips.
This is really a good example of that transition. And I also have to say, we'll talk a little bit more about the visuals, but I love Teen Jean. Like, I miss this character.
People gave her such a hard time.
I know.
Because she was an insensitive teenager. And one, Jean Grey's not known for her sensitivity. And two, teenagers suck. It was a great character. She was so fascinating. Yeah. They had to be like, Jean, you can't mind control people just to get your way. Please let Warren have his self-sufficiency back.
Yeah.
Like, that was textual the moment she got her telepathy in that run. They knew what they were doing.
Absolutely. And say what you will about the Blue Gold era, which, is not great.
I'll say largely bad.
Yeah. Still has this amazing who designed the X-Men?
I believe Jamie McKelvey did the design.
Thank you, McKelvey. With the short hair and the jacket, and this is the Jean Grey that is showing up on this beach to team up with Jean Grey, who, in learning that this younger version of herself, who's from the future, from the past, who knows, really wants to
both. Oddly enough.
Yeah, wants to get a handle on what the Phoenix is all about, decides, hey, let's go into space and let's go punch Galactus. And it's great.
So, at the time, not in Cullen Bunn's book, Blue, but in his friend Dennis Hopeless's book, Jean Grey, Jean was dealing with, like, the idea of the Phoenix coming for her and what that was going to mean. In fact, dealing with the ghost of Jean Grey at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of following her around.
Yeah, what did it end up? The ghost of older Jean Grey. The ghost of the Jean Grey that Magneto gave a stroke to.
Yes.
That Jean Grey and this Jean Grey are hanging out. And this Jean Grey is like, wait, if I tell older the Phoenix version of me that she's going to eat some broccoli people and that's not going to be popular, what'll that do? Is that like the right thing to do? And she has to reckon with that, which is, it plays up on pretty much every like plot direction that this teen version of Jean has had, whether, what do we do about the future? Can we change it? Is our direction set in stone? Am I cursed to die twice?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot that Bunn is getting right. And Bunn is, I'd say, his X-Men work's largely uneven, but this is one of the good ones here. This is one where I think he's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, this ties directly into what Hopeless was trying to do with the character, and unfortunately, I think got kind of derailed by the necessity of where they wanted to go by bringing her back in Phoenix Resurrection. But we've talked about that on another episode. Here, it's really just a really fun team up because Galactus is about to chow down on these little gummy bear people, and Phoenix is like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go Phoenix mode and beat you up." And
it's good. You get the Lifebringer, all of Fire and Life incarnate against the Devourer of Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
which is great. And then you also get
yeah. Go ahead.
You also get Teen Jean going into her Power Pink mode and giving Galactus a big old double page spread punch, and it's a satisfying read. It really is.
It is. And back to Silva, like when you get these moments like that 2-page spread of Teen Jean, like it's smacking Galactus upside the back of the head. It's just really, really fun. And you can tell he's leveling up. It's fantastic. So, I enjoy this story quite a bit, and, it's really cool. So if you missed this one because you were like, what is this event? This is silly. Some of those one-shots are fun. I remember enjoying some of them. This one is a standout, especially if you were tracking what was going on with RB as he evolved into the artist that we know and love today. So I think this is going to rank higher than our other two stories. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking this one... Let's see. Hold on. Number 300 on the list right now. What do we say? Nation X. This is better than Nation X.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's probably not better than that Gold Balls issue of Uncanny in the Bendis era, but we're around the right spot.
Yeah, Gold Balls is all the way up at what?
200. That's our 200. Our 200.
All right, so...
This is better than Uncanny X-Men Disassembled at 257.
And let's see, 250 is Uncanny X-Men 195. It was a dark and stormy night. I don't think this is that good.
It's not. How do you feel about it compared to... Okay, I'm going to just say it because I know where you're going to be is... This isn't as good as Brood Trouble and the Big Easy, right? Like, this is a fun but fairly inconsequential, and like it's a weird tie-in one-shot thing, and there's only so much you can do with that.
No, I don't think it's as good as Brood Trouble, but I do think it's better than, despite the Art Adams art, Ultimate X. So,
well, then let's make it our new 255.
That's a great spot for it. I love it.
And you know what, Adam? I love doing this podcast with you, and we did another episode.
Oh, man.
We did another one. And I didn't even talk about Galactus' hot mom as much as I did the first time we recorded this episode.
I thought we were going to mention that, but I guess we'll mention
the fact. It's at the end. It's fine. The mirror has already been cracked. Folks, thank you for joining us. This was fun. I want to thank Jerry Laley again for supporting us on Patreon. It supports everything that happens over at the big old world of Comics XF, a bunch of podcasts, a bunch of fun stuff. Go check out everything that our friends over there are doing. Adam, what do you got going on?
Let's see. I've been teaming up with Austin Gorton to do Book of Boba Fett stuff over on Comics XF, which has been fun.
Hey, I'm going to say something that I think might be a spoiler. So people, if you care about spoilers for this show that I honestly don't think could be spoiled in reality, don't skip to the end of the episode. It's fine. Hey, Adam, is that a show where Boba Fett rides a Rancor?
It sure is.
Does Baby Yoda stop the Rancor?
Yes.
Baby Yoda from being baby?
Yes, it's great.
It sounds terrible.
It is both terrible and an absolute delight. So
I will not be watching it.
Oh, it's perfect throw on in the background. Like silliness. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So anyway, we've been writing about it. We will have some finale coverage coming out this week. And before we wrap up, I just want to thank everybody for bearing with us. We know we missed last week, but as Zach alluded to, we recorded this episode directly after we interviewed Steve Orlando, and I promptly, after editing the Orlando episode, threw my audio away and deleted it.
Then I was gone in Las Vegas for a week for a work thing, and then my life has been miserable for a different unrelated work thing.
Yes.
To the point where I have not actually had time to record. Like, I've not had an hour-long stretch of personal time to record this podcast.
So we want to thank everybody.
Here's what I'm going to say. We did 235 weeks straight. Give us one. Give us the one.
Yeah. So
how many podcasts can say 235? We made it like 5-10 years.
It's not bad. So I'll try not to throw my audio away in the future. And Zach,
if you throw your audio away again, no one's going to hear this.
That's
so it's
true.
fine.
That's true. We have a really fun episode planned for next week. What are we doing, Zach?
Oh, we're talking about Garrison Kane. Weapon X. That wasn't the suggestion. There was a suggestion, and then there was something that we said, oh, that'll go great with the suggestion. And then we found the beautiful synergy that Garrison Kane is involved in both. So we found a third weird Garrison Kane story. Oh, he's garbage. Oh, y'all, Adam, we've got a weird podcast.
Listen, that sounds obscure, but you're going to definitely want to tune in because
you will know 2 out of 3 of these stories really well.
You really will. So you don't want to miss it.
Oh, but until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom, and we hope you survived the experience.
Get it!